Can you back out of a purchase agreement once both parties have signed it? Well, I'm going to answer that question for you today, so stay tuned. Hey everybody, David Calhoun with Keller Williams. I'm a realtor here in the Twin Cities, and I'm answering the question today, can I back out of a purchase agreement once both parties, buyer and seller, have signed it and agreed to all the terms? I wanted to preface this video by saying I am not an attorney, so this is not intended for legal advice. So if you feel you need legal advice, certainly reach out to a qualified real estate attorney. But I wanted to answer the question because it seems to come up now with COVID-19 and the coronavirus that buyers are getting cold feet and trying to back out of their contract. So, can you back out of a contract as a buyer? Well, it kind of depends on where you're at in the transaction. So, a lot of purchase agreements, well, all purchase agreements have built-in contingencies in the contract to protect you as a buyer. So the most common contingency is the inspection contingency. Here in Minnesota, typically you'd see an inspection contingency of 10 days, and during that 10 days, you have the ability to walk away from the transaction. It can be as a result of findings in the home that you just cannot live with, or if there are findings in the home that you can't live with and the buyer, you as the buyer and the seller cannot come to terms on a resolution, you can walk away and retain your earnest money. Okay, so that's typically 10 days. Once those 10 days are expired, you're out of the inspection contingency. So it's a little bit more difficult to back out of a transaction once the inspection contingency has been removed. So if you're past that, the other contingency in most contracts is financing. So what that contingency means is that you are able to back out of the contract if you cannot obtain financing. So for instance, say you have lost your job due to the coronavirus and you are no longer able to qualify for the loan on this house. Well, you are able to back out of that contract and retain your earnest money. However, if you are just deciding that now is not the right time to buy a house, but you're still gainfully employed, your financing situation has not changed, there's no other factors contributing to this fear of yours other than it just being the coronavirus outbreak, well, it's very likely that the seller of that property is going to retain your earnest money. And that could be obviously anywhere, it's typically 1 to 1.5% of the sales price of the home. So on a $300,000 house, it could be $3,000. I've heard of, sellers retaining more money as a result of that. So it's just really dependent on that. So just to recap, if you're in the inspection period, you certainly can back out and retain your earnest money. If you are in the financing contingency period and your job hasn't changed, you still maintain your employment and you can still qualify for the loan, and you decide just to back out of fear, you're going to lose your earnest money most likely. The other issue with that is that the seller of the house could sue you for failure to perform. They could sue you for specific performance. There's a lot of other legal ramifications that could come up as a result of you backing out of the contract. So if you feel that you are getting cold feet, my best advice for you is to first let your agent know whether you're in the inspection contingency, you have a financing contingency, you're set to close tomorrow. I would make sure you connect with your agent and just let them know. They are most likely going to give you the advice that you should contact a real estate attorney, because obviously realtors are not attorneys and we cannot give legal advice. So that's my advice for you. But I know there's a lot of fear going around right now. Absolutely understood. People absolutely are losing their jobs. I'm aware of that. However, just because other people are losing their jobs does not mean you are going to lose your job. And so now is still as good of a time as ever to purchase a house if you're gainfully employed and that you see yourself in that house for the foreseeable future. If you're intending to be in this house for the next 2, 5, 7, 10 years, I would certainly go ahead and continue buying that house. It's impossible to time the market. I've had buyers try to back out and say, well, I think prices are gonna go down, I'm gonna try to wait it out. Well, even if we're at the height of the market, or even if we are right now, or were, the low could be not for another 4 years. I mean, you just never know when prices are gonna bottom out. So it's impossible. That's not the best thinking, to back out of a contract to try to get a better deal in the future, because who knows, prices could skyrocket after this. I mean, they could, because inventory could still remain low, and as a result of this, buyers might have paused their search, and then once this coronavirus passes, buyers are going to come in with a vengeance, and inventory is going to be even lower, and that could drive up prices again. So you never know. It's impossible to time the market and be an economist and try to make the best choice based on what you think might happen with the real estate market in the future. So my advice to you is connect with your agent, connect with a real estate attorney if you're considering backing out, and just really think about the your long-term plan with this house. If you intend to be there for the next even 3 to 5 years, absolutely a great time to buy a house. So I hope this was helpful for you. If you need anything, I have all of my contact information here in the description. Feel free to reach out. I would be happy to be a resource for you. So thanks for watching. I'll catch you guys on the next video.